So right now, in this time of the show, we're in the fourth segment with the guest. Again, this is a 7 to 8 minute segment. And here I typically want to give examples of some success stories of people the guest has already helped. So I've laid the foundation. I've talked about who they help and how they help them. So now we're going to give some, real life examples of what I'm trying to do here is have the viewer relate to the success story. So when giving these success stories, we want to do it in such a transformational way that here's the problems that the person had, here's their struggles, here's their challenges, here's what I did to help them out, and here's what their life is like now. Here's how much different it is. Here's how much they've improved. Here's how much I added to their bottom line. Things like that. So it's really taking the person on a journey. The story here, the success story, is really about. It's not about my guest. It's really about the person that they helped and telling their story of transformation, because that is more powerful than anything that my guest will say about themselves, is talking about the transformation of one of their success stories, because you, the viewer, are really going to be able to relate to that. You're going to, especially if you're in the same starting situation as the success story, you're going to relate to that situation. You're going to feel the struggles. You're going to know what they are. And by the end of this segment, you're going to think, well, I was just like that person. And this person and my guest was able to help that person overcome those challenges. And now look at what they're doing now. So the obvious, I'm connecting the dots. The obvious conclusion for you, the viewer, is if I was just like that success story and the guest helped them, I think that guest can help me. And that's what I'm trying to get across during this segment. So the fourth segment is typically, these questions are really to try to get some examples of success stories or people that they've helped. As mentioned, so just let me see. As mentioned, I'm doing an example of an episode where I interviewed my coach, Ed Rush. Now, I had a little bit different structure because the end goal for at the beginning, the end goal was to get people into Ed's consulting course. But it ended up changing throughout the interview that we just wanted them to come to a free event that Ed was putting on. So it actually changed midway through the interview as to the purpose of the interview. But I went into the interview with the main goal of trying to get people into Ed's coaching program. So this fourth segment, as I mentioned, is really about giving examples of success stories of people that my guest has already helped. So just let me take a look at the questions I asked Ed in this section. Ed, what tips, advice would you give for anyone watching? Share some 5 tips, implement. Okay, so that question was not, as mentioned, the interview with Ed did not 100% follow this format, but typically the format is in this segment, I want to bring out some success stories. So the purpose of the first question I asked Ed was, it was a seeding question about the 5 Ps. In his consulting course, he has 5 Ps. So I really wanted to get him to talk about the 5 Ps of his consulting course. So it's really a leading question, and it seeds what I thought was the end goal was to get people to opt into his coaching his digital course. So the next question, Ed, you work with a lot of clients on a yearly basis, most of them entrepreneurs and lots being in the coaching consulting business. So here, with that statement, I've just identified, I already know that the theme of the show is targeted around coaching and consulting and how to grow your coaching consulting business to 7 figures. I already know that a lot of the people going to watch that particular show are coaches and consultants. So I make a clear statement here, subconsciously seeding with the viewer, stating that Ed works with a lot of clients on a yearly basis, most of them entrepreneurs and lots being coaches and consultants. So here I've just imprinted in the viewer's mind that Ed works with people just like me, if you're a viewer and you're an entrepreneur, a coach, or a consultant. So I'm planting those seeds. And I ask Ed, what are some of the things that you help them with? So here, this is a clear, in this particular question, it sort of doesn't follow my set format that I have for most people, but in this particular question, I'm asking Ed how he helps his current clientele. So what are the benefits that people are going to receive when they work with you? Okay, so that's typically what I'm getting through here. So it's 1:47 right now, so I'm closing out the answer and transitioning for edit of the Q&A.